Good morning. So last night at approximately 10:20 p.m., members of the South Street Crimes Unit were on patrol when they observed a Honda Accord violate a traffic control signal. The officers positioned their vehicle behind the Accord and conducted a motor vehicle records check on the marker plate. The check showed the vehicle's registration was canceled. The officers then activated their emergency lights and sirens and conducted a motor vehicle stop. The stop was conducted in the area of 285 Broad Street. The officers exited their vehicle and approached the Accord on foot. As the officers neared the Accord, it accelerated and fled the stop at a high rate of speed. The officers did not pursue the fleeing Accord. The Accord continued traveling north on Broad Street at a high rate of speed and ran the red traffic control signal at the intersection of Farmington Avenue and then a second red light at the intersection of Asylum Avenue. The Accord collided with a marked police vehicle being operated by North Street Crimes Unit officers. These officers were traveling east on Asylum Street, and they were utilizing their emergency lights and siren responding to a separate incident. At the time of the incident, the North Street Crimes Units were not aware that a vehicle had just fled a traffic stop. The officer in the passenger seat, Officer Bobby Garton, was transported to the St. Francis Hospital and was pronounced deceased after extensive life-saving measures by St. Francis doctors and nurses. The officer operating the vehicle suffered serious injuries and was also transported to St. Francis Hospital, where he is listed in stable but guarded condition. The individual operating the Accord suffered minor injuries and was transported to Hartford Hospital. He has since been released from the hospital and is currently in police custody. Arrested is a Richard Barrington, 323-2005 of 16 Sharon Street. Our charges here in Hartford are failure to obey a traffic control signal, failure to renew registration, misuse of plates, and interfering with a police officer. The crash and the events that led up to it were captured on video. I've asked the Connecticut State Police to investigate this incident, and they have processed the scene and will be the lead investigators in this case. The deceased officer is identified as Officer Robert, known to us as Bobby, Garden, an 8-year veteran of the Hartford Police Department. Officer Garden served the City of Hartford Police Department in the Patrol Division as a walk beat officer and most recently in the Street Crimes Unit for the last 2 years. He's also served on the Hartford Police Department Marine Unit. He was a second-generation police officer in the City of Hartford. I just want to thank the staff at St. Francis Hospital for everything they did for us and the family while we were there. I want to thank my fellow Hartford police officers for surrounding the family and each other and maintaining safety in the city. And I want to thank the state police, our state's attorney, our political leaders, and everybody that's reached out to support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. First, I just want to say that my prayers and the prayers of my family and the prayers of our whole city are with Officer Garden's family, with his parents and his brother, his nephews, all of his loved ones, his friends, his colleagues, those who served alongside him in the Hartford Police Department, those who served alongside him in the City of Hartford. This is a devastating loss for our community, for our department, and our whole city is grieving this morning. Bobby loved this city. He grew up going to Whalers games. He loved going to Yard Goats games now. He served this city with courage and compassion and tremendous skill and dedication. The Street Crimes Unit, of which he was a part, does some of the toughest, most dangerous, most important work that anyone can do to keep our community safe. Bobby's mom said yesterday that every day he started on shift, she talked to him and said, "Be safe out there," and every day he said, "I always am." And he was yesterday too. He was doing exactly what he should do to serve this city. And that's a reminder that every one of our officers no matter how safe they are, put themselves in the line of danger every day. And we are so grateful to them for what they do for this community. I want to say to the entire Hartford Police Department that I am so sorry, because the Hartford Police Department is a family. And I know that this loss is immeasurable. As a community, we are deeply grateful to every single one of our officers for what you do, and offer our deepest condolences and love to Bobby's family and all who knew and loved him. We'd be happy to take a few questions, but I think we're going to keep this brief. There may be additional information that we share, but let me close by just echoing the thanks that Chief Thody gave. I want to thank Chief Thody for his leadership and love for this department and everyone who serves it. I want to thank our command staff. I want to thank every member of the department, so many of whom were standing there and standing watch in grief all through the night, last night. And I want to thank every surrounding department, everyone who's reached out, the state police, state officials, officials from communities all around this state who've reached out and stand in solidarity and in mourning and offering their prayers. We will miss a great officer and a great man. Thanks.
Quick question. Can you say anything about the call that he was responding to, that they were responding to when they got hit by the Honda?
Not yet, no.
Chief, there were two officers in the vehicle, and Officer Robert was the passenger.
Yes, yep, Bobby, yep, was passenger, yep.
Mayor, Chief, I'm so sorry for your loss. Would you be able to just elaborate a little bit more on who he was, how he approached this job, what he meant to the community? I think you said he grew up locally. Talk about that a little bit if you could.
Sure, as much as I can. When I got on the job, I actually worked with his dad. His dad was a police detective here, and he was the kind of officer that you would see. I think if you ask anybody in the police department about him, they'll say he was the guy that was always smiling. You know, really loved the work when he got on the job. Was one of those officers that really wanted to excel and do different things. That's why he was selected to be a walk beat officer. And then as our staffing diminished and we had to change some assignments, he ended up in street crimes because of his dedication and the work that he did as a walk beat officer. You know, it takes a lot of time in the street crimes unit, as the mayor said. This is one of our proactive units that really is the lead in safety, especially in gun violence. They take the most guns off the streets, and they work a lot of hours, but yet he still decided to join the Marine Division, which is, you know, especially this time of year, is a division that's also very busy. So he spent a lot of time here. You know, I got to talk to his family last night, and as the mayor said, this is what he talked about, this job. So he was a great man.
How old was he?
34.
34. And his dad, did he ever talk about, he must have looked up to him if you followed in his footsteps here at the department, no?
Absolutely, absolutely. His dad said, you know, all he ever wanted to be was like me.
Kind of help is available for the officers that are grieving and have to deal with this.
I'm sorry.
Support for the grieving officers, is there any kind of program set up to help them?
Yeah, we have an EAP program here, you know, in the department, but when something like this happens, you know, we bring in EAP resources from our surrounding departments. You know, Chief Gould was here with me this morning, who has unfortunately had to go through this. So we have a good support network for our officers. Those that need time, we give time. We have officers that deal with this kind of tragedy in different ways. Some want to be here more, and some need need space, and so we, you know, we accommodate them. We also have a very robust chaplain corps here. Our chaplains were with us last night. Our faith-based community provides us with a super, you know, support structure in the way of chaplains that, you know, came and prayed with the family, prayed with officers, came to roll calls. And as the mayor said, the outpouring of support from everybody is, I think, lifts every officer up. So we try to share all of those stories with our officers.
Chief, speaking of support, if people at home want to support the family and the department, is there any way, what's the best way for them to do that right now?
So it's a little early for that. We'll get some information out, you know, on that. You know, it was a long night for all of us and the family. So we'll get more out on that.
And Chief, where was he from? Where was Bobby from?
I grew up in Newington? Weathersfield, Weathersfield, I'm sorry. Lived in Newington, grew up in Weathersfield.
The officer that's still in the hospital, you were saying stable but guarded, can you elaborate, like, is he still pretty serious at this point, or?
He suffered some serious injuries, and you know, that's where it is right now.
Can you tell us anything about him?
I'll share one thing about him and then leave it to others. I spoke with him at the chief and many members of the department yesterday, and what I can tell you about him is that the only thing on his mind was the well-being of the other officers and the well-being of the officers who responded to the scene.
Can you say how old that officer is or where he's from?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
I mean, like I said, the state police is investigating it, so they're going to take, you know, the investigation from here. You know, we dealt with the initial charges that